My goodness, there are so many songs I want to talk about. Not enough time. I'm trying to cut as many videos as I can, so I'm going to just keep it down to one take on each video. Even though I might mess up real bad, I apologize for that. I just want to get through as many songs as I can, talk about a lot of songs. And February 21st, 1976, Billboard's Hot 100 for my 70's YouTube channel. Oh my goodness. Got a Lost 45 and a half by Dan Hill. The guy who did Sometimes When We Touch. That was a year later in the winter of, actually about 2 years later in the winter of 77, 78, which was a huge hit for Dan Hill. It was co-written with Barry Mann. Barry Mann wrote the music. I believe he wrote the music or the lyrics to Sometimes We Can Touch. And Dan Hill wrote, oh, I got it all mixed up. That Barry Mann wrote the music. Dan Hill wrote the lyrics to Sometimes When We Touch. Barry Mann, of course, with Cynthia Veil. I never can't pronounce her last name. It's Weil, something like that. They wrote You Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. But the song I'm going to talk to you about is Growing Up by Dan Hill. It was a very minor hit. Went to number 67 on Billboard's Hot 100. It dropped to 98 the week of February 21st, 1976, after spending 6 weeks on the charts. Dan Hill is from Canada. He left high school when he was 17 years old to work as a songwriter for RCA. He put out his debut album in 1975. He had a Canadian hit called You Make Me Want to Be. I can't read my chicken scratch. I just write it down so fast. And he came out with a second album called Hold On. That was in 1976. Now, at one time, Dan Hill worked for the government in Ontario. He was delivering office supplies, while at night he played at a place called the Riverboat. And the thing about Dan Hill, he had a couple of real big hits. Sometimes We Touch, already mentioned that, and there was Can We Try? That was back in the summer of 1987. And let me read you a few lyrics to this song, Growing Up. This is a pretty powerful record. It shows some ambivalence towards the U.S. This is more of a social, this is completely different from Sometimes When We Touch. This is more of a socially conscious oriented record. Ma cried like a lady. Pa cried like a man. 1963, one less Kennedy. And I was too young to understand. And the years flew by in colors, each one a little faster than before. And as the war caused some to cry, probably talking about the Vietnam War, I'd identify my TV keeping score. Growing up in the shadow of the USA, trying to find the meaning of life today. America is a heavy kind of role you play. You're the hero. You're the villain. Your every move is on display. That's Dan Hill. That's the same guy who did those love songs. Sometimes We Can Touch. Even though it was brilliantly written, those love songs were brilliantly written. And Can't We Try? Completely different style. It's just amazing. Dan Hill from the week of February 21st, 1976, song on its way down, going off the charts, on the verge of going off the charts altogether. At number 98, Growing Up, Dan Hill. Week of February 21st, 1976, Billboard's Hot 100.